Holding space. I didn't know that was happening. The concept of the fan in Singapore. Touching, more touching, crying, and more crying. For 2 consecutive Novembers, Wicked and Wicked for Good stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have been inescapable topics of conversation on social media, not for their delightful performances as the Witches of Oz, but for eccentric interview and red carpet moments like these on the film's press tours. Whether intentional or not, the actress's quirky behavior and intense emotional bond have certainly worked overtime to promote the films, even beyond the production's already massive marketing budget. But this attention, of course, has come with a cost. Despite high praise and adoration towards both films, this constant online exposure to Cynthia and Ariana has left social media users with negative things to say. And I mean negative. Look, their behavior is definitely strange, I'll admit, but after the first go around, I thought we were all in agreement that it was kind of just weird, out-of-touch celebrity antics. But this year, I honestly find the fan response to be just as disturbing, if not more, than the behavior itself. Apparently, the actresses are exhibiting toxic codependency, utterly desperate for one another's affection. They're infantilizing each other, it's scary. They're trying too hard to appear cute and quirky. They're straight up cringe and annoying. And what I find most uncomfortable of all is the extreme scrutiny of Cynthia and Ariana's bodies. Maybe I'm too woke, or I'm the one who's not woke enough here somehow, I don't know, but this normalized dialogue about their appearances under the guise of fan concern is something I thought we weren't doing anymore. And yet here we are, having reached a general sort of consensus that the women were so overwhelmingly devoted to these films that it genuinely took a toll on their bodies too. Yes, much of this online chatter seems irrelevant to our daily lives in the real world. It's symptomatic of both our parasocial fixation with the unknowable inner lives of celebrities and far too much screen time on a societal scale. But of course, in my video essayist mind, I do view this fan response as emblematic of something deeper. Our discomfort with Cynthia and Ariana comes from them bearing too much emotionally and physically. They're too moved, too proud, too connected to this massive creative undertaking they were a part of. It's a raw expression of emotion we aren't used to in the context of the modern movie press cycle, something which has gotten to feel so stilted and formulaic. They are too sincere. Now, hold up, I can see the comments already. No, we're not uncomfortable that they're being sincere. I think they're inauthentic. It all feels fake. That's what's weird. Well, to that I say, neither of us know these people and their true feelings or intentions. But for the sake of this video, I'm interested in any performance of emotion in relation to one's creative output as cringe, as something capable of bringing such deep discomfort, especially when irony and apathy are so in. Because, as you'll see, such accusations of cringe don't just hit the rich and famous. In fact, no matter what the public says about Cynthia, Ariana, or any other public figures I discuss here, I promise they will be fine and relatively unaffected. It's us that cringe culture can strike the hardest. Not to be so, we live in a society, but the truth is we are in an age in which everything is monitored, not only by algorithms, but by our virtual peers, and in which we are hyper-aware of our own digital footprints and our abilities to keep up with never-ending new trends. How do we make art a raw expression of one's true nature if our digital self is just an amalgamation of everything the internet is telling us is cool right now, a goalpost which changes and contradicts itself practically every week? And if it's not cool, why should we even make art at all?
Is sincerity cringe? The embarrassing act of creativity in the social media age.
Part 1, Transcending Cringe. I'm making this video at a very specific time. It's currently the end of November 2025. Wicked for Good has just been released in theaters, and though the award season press cycle is imminent, for now the 2 years of bizarre press tour antics have come to an end, finally allowing the film to speak for itself. But don't worry, we're not to fret, as it seems another press tour equally as unconventional and with just as much viral potential has been waiting in the wings. Timothee Chalamet's seemingly self-led marketing campaign for his upcoming film Marty Supreme, directed by Josh Safdie of the Safdie brothers and distributed by A24. It's no secret that Timothee is in talks to land his second Oscar nomination in a row, following last year's narrow loss to Adrian's 6-minute speech Brody.
Turn the music off. I've done this before. Thank you.
And though his press tour for a complete unknown displayed his signature quirks, he still did present himself with a pathos of sincerity, expressing affection and admiration for Bob Dylan. In his Screen Actors Guild Award acceptance speech, he also shared his desire to be one of the great actors, a moment of candidness which I felt to be uniquely authentic.
The truth is, I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I'm inspired by the greats here tonight.
But for Marty Supreme, Timothee and co are carefully devising a very different approach. Around a week ago, A24 released what seemed to be a recorded Zoom call between Timothee and their marketing team, discussing promotional strategies for the film. Timothee dons a bizarre persona, half comically arrogant, half obnoxious iPad kid, proposing extravagant marketing tactics, some of which have already been executed. It doesn't take long for viewers to realize this call is not entirely real. It's a carefully thought out marketing device in itself. The joke here is that Timothee is purposefully trying to come off as an overexcited, egotistical, out-of-touch actor, talking over other professionals in the call with inflated self-importance. In one particular moment, Timothee shares his screen to reveal his wallpaper, a picture of himself receiving the SAG Award, the same moment in which he expressed his desire for greatness. This pursuit of greatness is something the actor pokes fun at as well, showing random pictures of figures deemed great and forcing the call to repeat the word greatness.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And what does she represent?
I mean, legal
Greatness.
Greatness.
Greatness. Yeah.
Greatness.
Greatness. Everyone at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Greatness.
Yeah.
And a great legal mind.
I find it interesting that this moment of sincerity and pride in his artistic accomplishment, though confident and cocky, sure, is now being downplayed by Timothee to construct a new version of his image. It almost feels like there's a sense of embarrassment surrounding the SAG Awards speech, that once again too much was bared, and this vulnerability must now be protected by a layer of irony. And Timothee Chalamet is the perfect vessel for this mid-2020s chronically online, detached from reality, too cool for school kind of irony. Though he began his career as a dreamy young ingenue, adored by many young women for his emotionally tender indies, his image has slowly but surely morphed into our generation's quintessential cool guy, now adored by men as much as women. Marty Supreme seems to be solidifying this new image of his for good, not just because of the film being at the hands of A24 and a Safdie brother, two things sacred for film bros. Put into action as soon as this Zoom call made the rounds, the Marty Supreme campaign is very smartly appealing to a specific cool fan base, with high fashion merchandise, an exclusive NYC pop-up, and the color orange hoping to take the seat of Wicked's pink and green, but like in an ironic way, of course. And other than a few people who might not have been in on the joke, Timothee has been met with instant praise and laughter for this clever campaign, with people online remarking that this guy has changed the game of marketing, the press tour, and so on, within a few hours of it all starting. His persona is so obviously forced that it is somehow making him seem all the more real, even more personable and lovable to audiences. Well, I can't help but compare this response to the Marty Supreme press cycle to those of the Wicked films. Of course, there is an obvious gendered element here, and leave it to me to make something about gender because I love to and because everything already always is. The extent to which Timothee receives criticism is just stuff like, honestly guys, he's not that hot. This guy's not that good of an actor. Timothee has never faced the scrutiny our Wicked stars have when presenting himself as more emotionally authentic and sincere. Even if he were to be acting the way Cynthia and Ariana do, I'm still confident we would receive it differently. When he dons his Marty Supreme Zoom call persona with behaviors that are textbook cringeworthy, we so easily interpret it as intentional, even genius. He transcends cringe. He is eternally cool. And listen, I'm not about to say only women are perceived as cringe and unable to transcend it. Obviously, that's not true.
This is my first video on Instagram.
But like with literally everything else, women are placed under a microscope, given much less benefit of the doubt. Shame and embarrassment, core tenets of cringe, are also unfortunately inevitable and inescapable feelings of being a woman perceived by others. This concept of using a persona, ironic or otherwise, as an artist as a way to mask the vulnerability of sharing art is thus complicated with women artists. It has also been complicated even more by the constant surveillance of social media and the inescapability of one's digital footprint. I've got a few recent examples. For a while, I felt that Chappell Roan has struggled to maintain the line between her drag-ish persona of Chappell and her true self. Her image has of course drawn many comparisons to Lady Gaga. Maybe I've got some rose-colored glasses about 2008, 2009, considering I was like 6 or 7. But Gaga emerged at a time when social media and the internet still felt exclusive and cool, like a space separate from reality. It was easier for Gaga to maintain a persona separate from who she is, but now celebrities are not as much at arm's length thanks to social media. It's difficult for Chappell to present as just Chappell when fans know so much about her and have so much more access to her online. The moments when Chappell breaks the illusion of her persona to request personal respect and decency are when she is most accused of being cringe. Last year, Halsey released The Great Impersonator, an album in which she donned the persona and musical styling of a different legendary musician for each track. Her use of persona was deliberate and subversive. The lyrics of the album were not about the other artists, they were about her, some of the rawest parts of her that she could have shared. Halsey reflects on truly life-altering events that happened to her in the years prior to the album, the birth of her son and separation from his father, and being diagnosed with and suffering from serious illnesses. This album is heavy and haunting, and I believe personally that it got so much less recognition than it deserved. It was slammed by Pitchfork in a review which ridiculously accused the singer of displaying main character syndrome, completely undermining her very real struggles. And as far as public reception goes, I feel like many people refuse to give the album a chance. It seems, despite how much she poured into the work, that Halsey is unable to escape the image of herself as a cringy 2010s teen, cursive singing in the mall.
Where are you? And I'm so sorry. Cannot sleep, cannot dream tonight.
And finally, there is Addison Rae, perhaps the example who eludes me the most, as her image has completely catapulted from cringe and basic to cool, postmodern, and blissfully ironic. Addison is someone we first met on social media, dancing her way through the COVID-19 pandemic. And we certainly won't let her forget this anytime soon.
Can I take a picture with you? Oh yeah, of course. Here, let me do this TikTok really quick. Yeah, I'll get out of it.
But her pivot to the alternative pop sphere under the mentorship of Charli XCX is so mesmerizing that it definitely turned the mirror back at us, allowing us to rethink our preconceived notions about her. This direct fight against cringe is something we don't yet know what to do with. Between the cool, elusive pop artist and the cringy TikToker, we are frustrated and yet intrigued because we don't know which is the persona and which is authentically her. For these women artists, even irony, self-awareness, and the practice of a persona still can't fully allow them to transcend cringe. But if famous women with massive platforms and adoring fans still can't navigate our arbitrary, unwritten rules of cringe, what does that mean for us, for people who might have creative aspirations at whatever scale, constantly consuming content on other artists and making micro-assessments on what is or isn't cringe? Is this creatively limiting? Well, yes. Part 2, Cringe Culture and You. Hi again. Come sit and watch this video with me really quick.
This is my 11th year as a professor. And what I've noticed, in a very unsettling way, is that our students, at least in America, I can't speak for other places, they are more and more self-conscious of trying. There's a kind of surveillance culture around social media. And they would say, I want to be a poet, I want to be a good writer, but it's a bit cringe, right? This cringe culture is that I don't want to be perceived as trying and having an effortful attempt at my dreams. And as a teacher, that's a horrifying sort of report from the field. And so I think they are absolutely scared of judgment. And so in fact, they perform cynicism because cynicism can be misread, as it often is, as intelligence. You know, you're disaffected, you're too cool, you've seen it all. And so they pull back. But in fact, they are deeply hungry for sincere, earnest effort. They often do it privately. They don't want to admit to each other that they're actually trying really hard to do what they want to do, but amongst their peers. I think sincerity is something we deeply hunger for, particularly young people, but we are embarrassed when sincerity is in the room.
Yay, thanks for watching that with me. Those were the words of the brilliant poet and author Ocean Vuong, reflecting on recent observations he's had as a professor of creative writing. Presenting your work is scary. It's a part of you that's out there in the world now, belonging to those who see it as much as it belongs to you. And of course, some of those people will have negative things to say. It's par for the course. But Vuong gets at something even deeper and more disparaging, that we young people do not just have a fear of presenting art to the world, but a newer fear of even trying to make anything at all. It feels like no coincidence that the act of making and engaging with art feels most difficult at an unprecedented time in history when art itself is quite literally in jeopardy. We are not wanted to make and enjoy art. We might learn too much. We are wanted to work. But especially as we are attempting to enter the workforce at an absolutely insane, inopportune time, members of my generation already know all this. We're already jaded and cynical of the powers that be, and our lives are just beginning. As Vuong says, this cynicism, often disguised as intelligence, is a massive barrier to artistic freedom. But we're not just limiting ourselves, we're made to be cynical, and in expressing our apathy online, because what else are we even supposed to do, we make less of a space for a way out through creating. And yet we still try to interact with art. It's an innate human desire. But in my experience, a lot of the ways art, specifically film, as that's what I engage with most, is consumed on social media unintentionally breeds further division where it should bring connection. Vuong emphasizes the environment of self-surveillance on social media, and I've noticed a major way we do this is by using one's associations with certain films, music, styles, etc. to construct rigid aesthetic-based personas. For instance, things like movies for yearners or weird girls, how to dress in the frazzled British woman aesthetic, red flag artists for performative males. Individual posts of this nature are well-intentioned and seemingly harmless, but it's the constant exposure to an endless stream of aesthetics and archetypes and their various rules that can ultimately be damaging and limiting, especially for young people who already feel social pressure to find a group, a clique, an identity at an age when they're still learning who they are. Of course, I completely understand the need to filter one's identity through these aesthetics and labels. It's something I do find myself partaking in quite often. When the internet makes us so conscious of just how many people are out there and how easily it can be for our posts, our ideas, to get lost in a void, it makes sense that we seek to boil ourselves down to images and terms, almost as if to just be remembered or even seen at all, you know? But what kinds of connections do we miss out on when we seek to define and judge ourselves and other people solely based on the things we say we like online? And on the flip side, what do we lose when we assign art to these arbitrary aesthetics, speaking of complete nuanced films, albums, and so on, like nothing more than pretty Pinterest boards? And if we can't receive and think about art in a personal, unique way, what shot do we have at creating it? But at the end of that clip of Ocean Vuong, he states that young creative people are deeply hungry for sincere, earnest effort. We do want sincerity and authenticity. We want to explore art in our lives, even though these things are inaccessible on purpose. Sure, we might not be engaging with art to its full potential by such a focus on mere aesthetic value, but we are still making an effort to engage with it at all, and that is a great place to start. Part 3. Hopecore.
People who hate on you for climbing Cringe Mountain are never the ones who have climbed Cringe Mountain themselves. They are never hating from the land of cool, they are always hating from base camp. So this is Cringe Mountain. This is you climbing Cringe Mountain. Everyone has to climb Cringe Mountain to get to the land of cool. This is base camp, where everyone starts, and this is where the haters live. Nobody who has ever been through the climb will hate on someone who is still climbing. Ever. Because they know what it's like to climb Cringe Mountain. They would never laugh at you. They know it's hard.
That was Cringe Mountain, a concept coined by creator Erica Mallet, which expresses just how inherently cringy and embarrassing it can be to put yourself out there authentically for the sake of your art. Now, I know so well how easy, even fun, it can be to hate from base camp. I've done it before, and I'll surely do it again, but maybe sometimes it's necessary to get out of there. Making pop culture and film commentary video essays is cringe. I know this, but here I am sitting in front of you making just that. Sitting here talking to you right now, I'm somewhere on the slope of Cringe Mountain, and it's terrifying. I wanted to make videos like this for months before I actually started doing it. But I couldn't fathom the idea of people seeing my face and hearing my voice and having their own opinions about my opinions. And as stupid as it sounds, another huge barrier was the mortifying thought of having to promote my YouTube channel on my personal social media accounts. When I did go to share my first video essay on Instagram, I was timid. I deflected, acknowledging the embarrassing nature of the act before anyone else would by stating that I knew it was cringe. As we know from earlier in this video, it's less risky to approach your creative endeavors with a sense of detached irony than from a place of earnestness. It's easier too. In making my Instagram post, I didn't say to myself, I'm going to deflect from the sincerity of my achievement. I didn't realize I was doing it. I simply did not feel there was any other appropriate way to announce my work. And maybe there isn't an appropriate way to do so. To put yourself out there and climb Cringe Mountain is inherently a disruptive act. Taking that first step doesn't have to be profound either. No one is asking you to make a masterpiece like the Mona Lisa or season 5 of Drag Race.
Thanks, Detox.
What, honey?
I said thank you.
But think how much more fun it could be to make something small and inconsequential than to make nothing at all. I know I just talked a big game about the harm of social media, but it isn't going anywhere, and it's still possible to make peace with this. I do think social media has given this generation incredibly unique tools with which to be creative. At our fingertips, we have the ability to take and edit pictures and videos, to write anything, to create images and graphics, to collaborate with others. We also have a digital language, our own ways of communicating with, sharing, and even reconstructing the work of others. Think of all the memes you've seen that have been morphed into something so far from their original source material. Stuff that makes people comment, imagine showing this to a Victorian peasant, or I'm the first in my bloodline to read the string of words. As silly as this may sound, memes like this are creative. They're using our propensity for irony to express something rather than deflect from something. And I think a great example of this uniquely online creativity and a great place to end on is the subset of memes and images known as Hopecore.
There's a rainbow over your head.
Oh my God. I ain't seen a rainbow in a long time. I guess things gonna get better.
If ever there was a way to be ironically sincere, this micro-movement is it. The name itself, Hopecore, is a sort of subversion of the endless, inconsequential aesthetics and cores we constantly see online. Hopecore began in the past few years with videos of random acts of kindness, moving quotes or scenes, or cute clips of animals or babies all set to reflective music. More recent iterations of Hopecore are often posted by usually cynical meme accounts and take on a meme format, setting the expectation that the caption you're about to read is going to be just as pessimistic and darkly funny as the memes you're accustomed to seeing. But boom, suddenly there's a little dose of hope, joy, and whimsy. These are feelings difficult and embarrassing to express openly online. Hopecore embraces and transcends cringe. I know this seems like such a silly internet moment to take so seriously, but I'm just trying to emphasize that the very same internet and the same tools we use to create and share disparaging news, negative opinions, and mind-numbing brain rot can also be used to create things that are good. It's small, but with the power to write absolutely anything over any image, it's nice to know that some people choose to write things like, "How beautiful to have a little friend," "How I sleep knowing I get another chance tomorrow," and "Horsey, get up. Joy has a habit of returning." So what is the moral of the story here? Well, it's so bleak out there, like so bad, and it's so easy to get swept up in cringe culture without recognizing its effects on how we prevent one another from creating art. But hope and inspiration are always out there, and there's always going to be room for you to create.
Probably will be alright.
The end. And there you have it. I know I'm no authority, but if you needed to hear it, just keep going. Who cares? Okay, that is all from me. Thank you for joining me for my little surprise like in November video essay. This one was fun, something different. I wanted to do like half cultural commentary and then half, you know, getting personal with it, just kind of musing on thoughts I've been having and observations recently. I hope you like this format, and maybe I will still do a longer one in December. Who knows? There is only one way to find out, and that is by staying tuned, by liking and subscribing. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Yay! Bye bye.